The silent arrival. The galaxy was quiet, too quiet. For years, the Galactic Empire had ruled with an iron fist, expanding its influence across countless star systems. They controlled everything, from the smallest moon to the largest planets. The Empire's power seemed endless, and for most, it was the only way of life they knew. But deep within the heart of the galaxy, something was about to change. Humanity had been underestimated for far too long. Earth's strength, hidden for centuries, was about to be revealed in a way no one could have imagined. Far beyond the borders of the Empire's reach, Earth's fleet lay in wait, hidden in the shadows of distant stars. This fleet, built in secret, had been gathering strength and power for years. The people of Earth knew the time would come when they would need to stand up for themselves, to fight for their survival. And now, the moment had arrived. General Aisha Park stood on the command deck of Earth's flagship Vanguard. She gazed out at the vastness of space, her mind focused on the mission ahead. The stars outside seemed peaceful, almost serene, but she knew the calm was an illusion. Soon, the galaxy would be shaken to its core. "This is it," she whispered to herself, "the beginning of the end for the Empire." Earth's fleet was composed of ships designed for speed, stealth, and precision. Each vessel was a marvel of technology, capable of outmaneuvering the Empire's larger, slower ships. The humans had learned from their enemies, using their knowledge to create warships that could strike fast and disappear into the darkness of space before the Empire even had time to react. The Vanguard was the flagship, and it carried Earth's most advanced weaponry. It was a symbol of humanity's hidden power, a ship that would lead the charge in the coming conflict. But General Park knew they couldn't rush in, guns blazing. They had to move carefully, strategically. The Empire's forces were vast, and they would not go down easily. Behind her, the bridge was buzzing with activity. Officers and crew worked in perfect harmony, each one aware of their role. The tension in the air was thick, but it wasn't fear. It was anticipation. The crew had been preparing for this moment for years, and now they were ready. "Prepare the fleet," General Park ordered, her voice calm but firm. "We move in 5 minutes." The officers nodded, quickly sending out the orders. The fleet, hidden in the outer reaches of the galaxy, began to move into position. Warships, each cloaked in stealth technology, slipped through space like shadows, ready to strike. As the minutes ticked down, General Park felt a strange calm wash over her. She had been through many battles, but none like this. This was different. This wasn't just about Earth's survival. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity would no longer bow to the Empire's oppression. On the Empire's side, things were business as usual. Their fleet patrolled the borders, their forces keeping the galaxy under control. They had no idea that Earth had been preparing for years. They had no idea that a hidden armada was about to tear through their defenses. The first wave of Earth's fleet moved silently through the void. Their cloaking technology kept them invisible to the Empire's sensors, allowing them to approach the outer colonies undetected. The Empire's scouts, focused on the usual patrol routes, never noticed the approaching ships. General Park watched as the first targets came into view, a series of supply depots on one of the Empire's outermost colonies. The Empire had long relied on these supply lines to keep their forces in control of the galaxy. But Earth's fleet had a different plan. Their ships moved swiftly, taking out the supply lines with pinpoint accuracy. In an instant, the first attack was underway. The Empire's communications were jammed, their defenses disabled. Their supply chain was cut off, leaving them vulnerable. The Empire had no idea who was behind this assault, but they were about to find out. "First wave complete," one of the officers reported. "We've cut off their supply lines." General Park nodded, her eyes narrowing as she watched the unfolding chaos. The Empire would respond, of course. They always did. But they were too slow. They couldn't match the speed of Earth's fleet, and by the time they realized what was happening, it would be too late. The second wave of Earth's fleet was already moving into position. This time, they had bigger targets in mind: Empire communication hubs. These hubs were the heart of the Empire's control over the galaxy. If Earth could take them out, it would cripple the Empire's ability to coordinate their forces. The Vanguard led the charge once again, slipping past the Empire's defenses with ease. The other warships followed, striking at the heart of the Empire's infrastructure. Communications across the galaxy were suddenly cut off. The Empire's forces were blind, unable to coordinate their movements. Panic began to spread across the Empire's ranks, but they still had no idea who was behind the attack. As the minutes ticked by, the Empire's response grew more frantic. Ships began to deploy, scrambling to defend their communication hubs. But Earth's fleet was already moving on, ready for the next strike. General Park's eyes remained fixed on the galaxy map, watching as the Empire's forces scrambled to regroup. She knew that this was just the beginning. Earth's fleet was hidden, but for how long? "The Empire won't know what hit them," she muttered, a slight smile playing on her lips. In the silence of space, as the first wave of attacks began to make their mark, Earth's fleet was ready. The Empire's grip on the galaxy was beginning to slip, and Earth had only just begun to show its true power. A shockwave through the Empire. The first wave of Earth's hidden fleet had struck with precision, and now the Empire was reeling from the surprise attack. The once unshakable confidence of the Galactic Empire was beginning to crumble as the galaxy witnessed the silent power of Earth's warships. They had no idea what was coming next. The Empire's outer colonies were in chaos. Supply lines were severed, communication networks scrambled, and entire fleets were left blind. The moment the first shots were fired, panic set in across the Empire. The colonies that once served as the backbone of the Empire's control were now isolated and vulnerable, but they had no idea who their attackers were. Back at the heart of the Empire, the high-ranking officials were in an uproar. The Imperial Council was urgently convening, desperate for answers. Their intelligence networks were still trying to piece together the strange, sudden attack. Who had done this? Who had the strength to cause such chaos in the Empire's most secure territories? "We need answers now," shouted High Admiral Thorne, a grizzled veteran of countless campaigns. "This cannot be a random attack. Someone is behind this, someone powerful." Across the galaxy, the Empire's forces scrambled to regroup. The communication hubs that Earth's fleet had destroyed were vital to the Empire's ability to coordinate its military response. The Empire was no longer a well-oiled machine. It was a beast caught off guard, lashing out blindly. But Earth's fleet wasn't slowing down. General Aisha Park knew that this was their chance. The Empire's power relied on control, on knowing what was happening across the galaxy at all times. With their communications shattered, they had no way of knowing where Earth's fleet would strike next. On the bridge of the Vanguard, Park looked out at the stars. "Continue with the plan," she ordered. "We've crippled their defenses, but we must remain unseen. Strike fast, strike hard." The fleet moved like shadows, their warships slipping through space, unnoticed by the Empire's shattered sensors. They were heading for the Empire's most valuable asset, their central command hub located on the planet Hesperia, a fortress world at the heart of their empire. The fall of Hesperia would be a devastating blow to the Empire's entire war effort. At that moment, something strange happened. A series of transmissions buzzed across Earth's fleet's communications channels. It wasn't from the Empire. It was from someone else. Earth's ships had encountered an encrypted signal, a message hidden within the chaos of the galaxy's communication network. The message was simple, but its meaning was clear. Someone else was watching. "General Park, you need to see this," one of the officers called out urgently. Park approached the communication console. "What is it?" "It's a message from an unknown source. It's encrypted, but it's too perfect to be random. Someone else has been tracking us." General Park frowned. This was unexpected. She had always assumed that the Empire would be their only real threat, but now It seemed like there was another player in the game, someone who knew exactly what Earth was doing. "We'll deal with that later," Park said, her tone sharp. "For now, we focus on the mission. Hesperia must fall." The fleet pressed on, now aware that they were not the only ones operating in the shadows. But Earth's hidden warships were swift and silent, and they had the element of surprise on their side. Their next target was Hesperia, and the Empire would never know what hit them. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Empire's military leaders were scrambling to regain control. They had never anticipated an enemy fleet moving so fast or striking with such devastating effect. This was no typical rebellion. This was a calculated strike from a force far more powerful than they had assumed. "Where is the enemy?" High Admiral Thorne demanded. "Why can't we find them?" His officers looked at the screens in confusion. The enemy ships had vanished again. No trails, no signs of movement, just a sudden disappearance. We can't track them, sir," an officer stammered. "It's like they're ghosts." The truth was, Earth's warships were designed to be nearly invisible to the Empire's sensors. Stealth technology had come a long way, and the humans had perfected it. It allowed them to move through space undetected, striking swiftly before vanishing into the vastness of the galaxy. "Keep looking," Admiral Thorne shouted, slamming his fist onto the console. "They're out there. I know it." The Empire's forces were on high alert, but they were fighting a phantom enemy. No matter how hard they searched, no matter how many ships they sent to scout, the humans' fleet could not be found. Earth's ships were moving too fast, too silently. The element of surprise was still on their side. Back on Earth's flagship Vanguard, General Park could feel the momentum shifting. Every attack, every strike, every successful mission added to the growing confidence of her fleet. The Empire was starting to realize that they were not invincible, and Earth's fleet had only just begun. The message from the unknown source still lingered in the back of her mind, but Park knew they couldn't afford to be distracted. The Empire was vulnerable, and Earth had to strike while it still had the advantage. Hesperia was within reach. As Earth's fleet closed in on their next target, a cold silence filled the command deck. The crew knew what was at stake. They were not just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for their place in the galaxy. And the Empire had no idea what was about to hit them. The fall of Hesperia. Hesperia was the jewel of the Empire, a heavily fortified planet located at the heart of their dominion. Its towering spires, glittering cities, and vast military strongholds were a testament to the Empire's might. The planet housed the Empire's most critical command centers, and the entire galaxy relied on its strategic importance. No one thought it could ever fall, until now. On the bridge of the Vanguard, General Aisha Park's eyes narrowed as she watched the planet grow larger on the screen. They were closing in fast, and the Empire had no idea they were coming. "We're within range," one of the officers reported. "We'll be entering the planet's atmosphere in 15 minutes. "Good," Park replied, her voice steady. "Stay alert. This is the heart of the Empire. Once we strike, we don't stop." Hesperia's defenses were formidable. The planet was surrounded by layers of shields. A fleet of Imperial warships patrolled its orbit, and a complex network of sensors dotted its surface. The Empire was confident that no one could breach its defenses, but they had never faced Earth's fleet. The plan was simple. Earth's warships would infiltrate Hesperia's orbit, disable its defense systems, and take control of the planet's central command hub. If they could accomplish this, the Empire would lose its ability to control the galaxy. And once that happened, the balance of power would shift. General Park stood at the front of the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back. The tension was palpable, but she remained calm. The years of preparation, the countless hours spent planning this moment, were finally coming to fruition. She couldn't afford to fail. Hesperia's fall would be the turning point in the war. As they approached the planet, Park issued a series of commands, ensuring that everything was in place for the attack. The fleet had already disabled most of the Empire's communication systems, so there was no immediate way for them to call for reinforcements. Earth's fleet was about to strike when the Empire was at its most vulnerable. In the heart of Hesperia's capital, the Imperial commanders were receiving reports of unusual activity in the surrounding space. They had noticed the sudden disruption in communication, but they assumed it was a minor glitch in the system. It wasn't until the first wave of Earth's warships entered their radar that they realized something was terribly wrong. "General, we've detected unknown ships entering Hesperia's orbit," an officer shouted as alarms blared across the command room. "They're cloaked. No signatures. We can't track them." "What?" General Vorn, the commanding officer of Hesperia's defenses, shouted. His face twisted in disbelief. "Impossible. We've analyzed every ship in the galaxy. There is no fleet that can get past our shields unnoticed." But it was too late. Earth's fleet had already breached their defenses. The warships moved quickly, their cloaking devices keeping them invisible to the Empire's radar. The ships slipped past the first line of defense undetected, then moved into position around the central command hub. It was located in the heart of the planet's largest city, surrounded by a massive fortress. The Empire had always been confident that no one could ever take it down. "Deploy the drones," General Park ordered. "I want those defenses neutralized." Thousands of small, stealth drones were launched from the vanguard. They moved like a swarm of insects, quickly making their way to the surface of Hesperia. They were designed to disable the planet's shield generators, allowing Earth's warships to attack the planet directly. The drones moved fast, disabling the planetary shields in a matter of minutes. The Empire's defense systems were crippled. Back on the planet's surface, panic spread like wildfire. The Imperial commanders scrambled to organize a defense, but it was already too late. The planet's shields were down, and Earth's fleet had begun their final approach. "Prepare for ground assault," General Park ordered. "We're taking Hesperia." The first wave of Earth's forces descended from the skies, landing on the fortress world with brutal force. The soldiers of Earth, trained for years in combat and strategy, hit the ground running. Their mission was clear: neutralize any Imperial resistance and take control of the central command hub. The Empire's forces fought back with everything they had, but Earth's soldiers were relentless. The humans had come prepared for war, and they were not going to stop until they had won. As Earth's fleet continued to strike, the Empire's once mighty stronghold began to crumble. The central command hub, once the heart of the Empire's control over the galaxy, was under attack. The walls that had stood for centuries were no match for the precision of Earth's fleet and soldiers. General Park stood at the helm of the vanguard, watching the chaos unfold on Hesperia's surface. The sound of battle echoed through the comms, but she remained calm. The Empire's grip on the galaxy was slipping, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. "Status report," Park demanded. "We've taken control of the command hub," an officer replied. "The Empire's remaining forces are in full retreat." General Park allowed herself a brief smile, but she knew the battle wasn't over yet. The fall of Hesperia was just the beginning. The Empire would retaliate. They always did. But the message was clear. Earth had arrived, and they were not going to be ignored any longer. Hesperia, the jewel of the Empire, had fallen. The galaxy would never be the same again. The Empire strikes back. The fall of Hesperia sent shockwaves through the Galactic Empire. The heart of their control, the central command hub, was no longer in their hands. Panic spread throughout the Imperial ranks, and for the first time in centuries, the Empire seemed vulnerable. They had underestimated Earth, and now they were paying the price. On the vanguard, General Aisha Park stood at the center of the command deck, her face set in determination. The attack on Hesperia had been a major success, but she knew the Empire wasn't going to let their most prized world slip away without a fight. The Empire would retaliate. This wasn't over yet. "We need to prepare for a counterattack," General Park said, her voice calm but firm. "The Empire will send everything they have to reclaim Hesperia." We can't let our guard down. Park's prediction was right. As the days passed, the first signs of Imperial retaliation began to emerge. Reports came in from across the galaxy. The Empire's fleets were mobilizing. They were massing at key locations, preparing for a large-scale assault on Earth's hidden fleet. On the surface of Hesperia, Earth's forces had quickly established a foothold, securing vital communications and defense systems. They had control of the central command hub, but the planet was far from secure. Imperial soldiers, along with droids and automated defense systems, were regrouping and preparing for a counterattack of their own. The battle for Hesperia was not yet won. "General Park, we've detected a massive Imperial fleet on approach," an officer reported. "They're headed straight for Hesperia." Just as expected, Park muttered under her breath. She had hoped that the Empire would take longer to organize their forces, but now she knew she had no choice. She would have to face the Empire head-on. "Deploy the fleet," Park ordered. "We'll hold the line. We need to give our forces time to secure Hesperia's control centers." The fleet mobilized swiftly, moving into position around the planet. Earth's warships, now fully revealed, formed a defensive perimeter around the planet's surface, ready to repel any Imperial assault. It was a bold move, but one that had to be made. If the Empire succeeded in retaking Hesperia, it would mean the end of Earth's first major victory. Meanwhile, the Empire's warships were closing in fast. Aboard the flagship Imperius, Admiral Rygor watched the strategy unfold. His face was grim as he studied the reports of Hesperia's fall. "This is an embarrassment," Rygor growled, his fist clenched. "We will not let Earth claim this victory. Prepare the fleet for full assault. All units engage at full force. This is the moment we retake Hesperia." His officers quickly scrambled to implement the orders. The Imperial fleet was massive, far larger than Earth's forces, but there was something different this time. The Empire's ships were slower, less coordinated, as they tried to make up for the surprise strike that had crippled them. The sudden loss of Hesperia had left them scrambling to reassert control over the galaxy. As the Imperial fleet approached, Park knew that this would be their toughest challenge yet. The battle for Hesperia would decide the fate of the galaxy. If they lost the planet, their hidden fleet would be exposed, and the Empire would regroup. But if they held their ground, the Empire's dominance would be shattered for good. "Hold steady," Park said, her voice echoing across the comms. "This is our moment. Earth will not fall. Not today." The two fleets met in orbit above Hesperia in a collision of immense power. Imperial warships unleashed waves of blinding fire, their weapons targeting Earth's defensive lines. The first wave of explosions lit up the sky, sending shockwaves through space. Yet Earth's ships were well-equipped and well-trained. They retaliated swiftly, launching missiles and firing energy blasts that pierced through the Empire's fleet. It was a fierce battle, unlike any the galaxy had seen before. The Empire's firepower was unmatched, but Earth's fleet fought with the fury of a people who had been underestimated for far too long. The Empire's ships began to falter as Earth's forces launched coordinated strikes, hitting key areas of their fleets. Every blast, every missile, every shot fired sent a clear message: Earth was here to stay. "Report," General Park demanded as the battle raged on. "How are our defenses holding?" "We're holding strong, General," an officer reported. "But the Empire is bringing in reinforcements. We need more time." "We'll give them time," Park replied. "We fight for Earth, for our future. We fight until the last ship falls." As the battle continued, the outcome remained uncertain. The Empire's fleet was vast, but Earth's hidden warships were swift and relentless. The galaxy had never seen a war like this before, and as the fight for Hesperia intensified, both sides knew one thing: this was only the beginning. Earth's fleet had caused the first tremors in the Empire's foundation, and now they were ready for the next stage. The Empire would not stop at just Hesperia. They would come for Earth. But General Park and her fleet were prepared for whatever came next. They had proven once, and for all that humanity was not to be underestimated. The Galactic Empire had made its first mistake, and now the battle for the galaxy was far from over. The turning point. The battle above Hesperia had been brutal, a clash of titanic forces that shook the very fabric of the galaxy. Earth's fleet had faced the Empire's might head-on and had held their ground, but the fight was far from over. Both sides had taken heavy losses, and the galaxy watched as the fate of Hesperia, and possibly the galaxy itself, hung in the balance. On the vanguard, General Aisha Park stood, her eyes fixed on the chaotic scene unfolding before her. The battle was at a critical point. The Empire had brought in reinforcements, and despite their losses, they still vastly outnumbered Earth's fleet. The odds seemed insurmountable, but Park wasn't one to back down. She had led her forces this far, and she would see them through the fight. "We're taking too much damage," one of her officers reported. "The Imperial fleet is swarming us. Our shields are weakening." Park clenched her fists, her face a picture of resolve. "We can't let them retake Hesperia. We've come too far. Order the fleet to fall back to the secondary defense position. I'll buy us time." The officers hesitated, knowing that Park's orders were a bold and risky move. The Vanguard was one of Earth's flagship vessels, and if it fell, the morale of the fleet would shatter. But they had no choice. The Empire's numbers were overwhelming, and they needed a plan to turn the tide. As Earth's ships began to retreat into a more defensible position, Park looked at the strategic map in front of her. There was one last move she could make. It was a long shot, but if it worked, it could change everything. "Prepare the Aether Bomb," Park said, her voice steady. Her officers blinked in surprise. The Aether Bomb was a secret weapon, one that had been in development for years, but never used in battle. It was powerful enough to disrupt the entire sector's energy systems and send shockwaves through any fleet caught in its blast radius. If the Empire's fleet was caught in that blast, their entire assault on Hesperia would collapse in a matter of seconds. "Are you sure, General?" an officer asked, his voice filled with concern. "The blast radius is enormous. It could wipe out our own fleet, too." "We don't have a choice," Park replied. "We can't win with conventional tactics. If we don't strike now, we'll lose everything." The Aether Bomb was the galaxy's best-kept secret. It had the potential to change the course of the war, but its use would come at a great cost. Park had calculated the risk, and she knew the consequences if it failed. But the alternative was worse. If Earth's fleet fell, the Empire would reclaim its dominance and wipe out humanity's chances for freedom. Meanwhile, on the Imperial flagship Imperius, Admiral Rigor was watching the battle unfold with a mixture of frustration and rage. His fleet had the upper hand, but Earth's ships were proving to be more resilient than he had anticipated. The longer the battle dragged on, the more his forces were forced to expend their resources. "We can't keep this up," an officer warned. "Earth's fleet is too well coordinated. We need to crush them now, or we risk losing Hesperia for good." Rigor slammed his fist onto the table, his anger evident. "Prepare for a final push. All units, focus on the Vanguard. We end this today." As Rigor issued his orders, Park's crew was preparing for their own final strike. The Aether Bomb was ready. The moment of truth was at hand. The Vanguard's weapons systems powered up, and Park gave the order. "Launch the Aether Bomb." In an instant, the device shot out from the Vanguard, its trajectory locked on the heart of the Imperial fleet. The shockwave from the weapon spread like a ripple through space, causing every ship within its blast radius to falter. The blast wasn't just a physical shock, it was a massive disruption of energy systems. The Empire's fleet, caught off guard, found their weapons systems overloaded, shields malfunctioning, and engines sputtering. "Direct hit," one of the officers shouted in triumph. The Empire's fleet was thrown into disarray. Ships that had once been formidable now drifted helplessly in space, their systems offline and their firepower rendered useless. It was a stunning victory for Earth's fleet, a move that would go down in history. However, the aftermath was not without its consequences. The Vanguard and the remaining Earth ships had also been affected by the Aether bomb. Their systems were damaged, and they were left vulnerable for a brief period. Earth's fleet had won a crucial battle, but the price had been high. "We did it," Park said, her voice filled with quiet satisfaction. "Hesperia is ours. The Empire's forces are broken." But Park knew this victory was just one part of a much larger war. The Empire would regroup. They would come back stronger, and Earth would need to be ready. "We've won this round," Park continued, "but the real fight is still ahead of us. The Empire will never forgive this, but we've sent them a message. Earth is not to be ignored. Not now. Not ever." As the smoke cleared and the last remnants of the Empire's forces fled, General Aisha Park stood tall on the bridge of the Vanguard, knowing that this was a turning point in the war. Earth had struck a powerful blow, but the fight for the galaxy was far from over. The Empire's counterattack. The victory at Hesperia sent ripples through the galaxy. Earth's fleet had dealt a devastating blow to the Empire, and for the first time in centuries, the mighty Galactic Empire seemed to be on the defensive. But General Aisha Park knew better than to celebrate. The Empire, bruised but not broken, would not rest until they had exacted their revenge. On the Vanguard, Park sat in her command chair, her eyes scanning the latest intelligence reports. The Empire was regrouping, preparing for a counterattack. She had expected this. A wounded animal was often the most dangerous. "General, we've received a transmission from the Empire," one of her officers reported, his voice tight with tension. "They're calling for reinforcements, more than we've ever seen before." Park's heart skipped a beat. The Empire was pulling out all the stops. "What's their plan?" she asked, her voice steady despite the growing sense of urgency. "They're assembling a fleet at the border of the Upsilon sector," the officer replied. "It's a full assault, General. They intend to crush Earth's fleet once and for all." Park's mind raced. She knew that Earth's forces were spread thin after the battle for Hesperia. The Aether bomb had been a tactical success, but it had left Earth's ships vulnerable. She had to make a decision, one that could change the course of the war. "Prepare our fleet for battle," Park said, her tone resolute. "We'll meet them head-on. Earth won't back down." As Earth's fleet moved to intercept the Empire's reinforcements, Park's mind was filled with thoughts of her crew, her soldiers, and the future of humanity. They had taken the first step toward freedom, but the road ahead was filled with peril. The Empire would stop at nothing to maintain their hold on the galaxy. They would come for Earth, and they would come with everything they had. In the cold vacuum of space, the two fleets moved toward each other like two colliding forces of nature. On the Imperius, Admiral Rigor stood before his war council, his expression grim. He had watched his fleet get decimated in the wake of Earth's surprise attack, but now the Empire was ready to strike back. The reinforcements had arrived, and they were more than ready for the fight. "We will not allow Earth to continue defying us," Rigor declared, his voice cold and commanding. "This is our moment. We will crush them, and we will show the galaxy that the Empire is still in control." The Empire's ships, now strengthened by new warships, moved into position. Their firepower was overwhelming, and their numbers far surpassed Earth's fleet. The Empire's strategy was clear. They would swarm Earth's forces, overwhelming them with sheer might and numbers. Park knew this would be their most dangerous battle yet. The odds were not in their favor, but Earth had something the Empire did not: resolve. Humanity had already proven that they would fight for their survival, no matter the cost. "Hold the line," Park said, her voice calm but filled with determination. "We will make them pay for every inch of space they try to take." As the two fleets closed in, the first volley of fire lit up the blackness of space. Blinding beams of energy erupted from both sides, and explosions echoed through the void. Earth's ships fought valiantly, firing everything they had at the Empire's oncoming forces. The battle was brutal, with both sides taking heavy losses. The Vanguard shook under the impact of an enemy barrage, but General Park remained steady. She was the heart of Earth's fleet, and her crew followed her every command without hesitation. She knew that if they lost this battle, the consequences would be catastrophic. But if they won? If we win, Park thought to herself, the galaxy will know that Earth is not a power to be ignored. The fight raged on. Earth's fleet, though smaller, used their speed and agility to their advantage. They darted in and out of Imperial formation, targeting weak points and striking quickly before retreating. But the Empire's strength was overwhelming. Even as Earth's ships took down Imperial warships, the sheer number of enemies was taking its toll. "We need to regroup," Park ordered. "Form a defensive perimeter around the Vanguard. We'll make them come to us." As Earth's fleet regrouped, the Imperius moved in, its weapons charging for a final decisive blow. The battle had reached its peak, and both sides knew that the outcome would determine the fate of the galaxy. But just as the Imperius's weapons were about to fire, something unexpected happened. A new force arrived. A fleet of unknown ships, sleek and fast, appeared out of nowhere, striking the Empire's flank with devastating precision. The unknown fleet was a force to be reckoned with. Their weapons were advanced, and their tactics were unlike anything the Empire had ever seen. They struck with lightning speed, disorienting the Empire's forces. The Imperial fleet faltered, unsure of who their new enemies were. On the Vanguard, Park's eyes widened in surprise. "Who are they?" she whispered, her mind racing. This unexpected arrival could be the turning point in the battle. The Mystery Fleet continued its relentless assault, and soon the Empire's ships were retreating. Earth's fleet, now reinforced and emboldened, pressed the attack, forcing the Empire to withdraw. The battle for the galaxy had taken an unexpected turn. The Empire had been dealt a crushing blow, but the identity of the mysterious new fleet remained unknown. As the dust settled and the battle came to a close, one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. The shifting balance. The battle was over. The Empire's fleet, shattered and disoriented, limped away from the battlefield, unable to maintain their assault on Earth. The Mystery Fleet, whose identity remained a well-guarded secret, had turned the tide in a way that no one had anticipated. The victory, however, was not without its cost. Earth's fleet had suffered significant losses, and the Vanguard, despite its bravery, had been heavily damaged. On the bridge of the Vanguard, General Aisha Park stood silently, watching the remnants of the battle unfold on the viewscreen. Her mind raced with questions that she couldn't yet answer. Who were the mysterious fleet? Why had they intervened at such a critical moment? And most importantly, what did their arrival mean for Earth and the galaxy? "We've won," one of her officers said, his voice cautious but filled with relief. "The Empire is retreating. We've secured the sector." Park nodded, but the feeling of triumph was hollow. She knew this wasn't the end. The Empire would rebuild, and they would return. But what of the new fleet? Was this their first act of intervention, or had they been watching Earth for longer than anyone realized? "Sir," another officer interrupted her thoughts. "We've received a transmission from the Mystery Fleet." Park's heart skipped a beat. This was it, the moment she had been waiting for. "Put it through," she ordered, her voice steady. The screen flickered, and a figure appeared. The person was tall, their features obscured by a dark, hooded cloak. The figure spoke, their voice calm yet powerful, resonating with authority. "We are the Coalition of the Hidden Stars," the figure said. "We have watched Earth struggle with the Empire for some time. We have come to offer an alliance." The revelation was shocking. Earth had been fighting alone for so long, and now, a coalition of unknown forces had entered the fray. The figure continued, their words carrying weight. "The Empire's reign has lasted far too long. We have seen the injustice they have wrought across the galaxy. We have come to help you, General Park and Earth. Together, we will fight to free the galaxy from their tyranny." Park's mind raced. The coalition of the hidden stars. Who were they? What were their goals? But one thing was clear. Their arrival had changed everything. Earth was no longer fighting alone. Alliance? Park asked, her voice steady, though the gravity of the situation weighed on her. And what do you want in return? The figure paused for a moment before replying. We seek nothing but the downfall of the Empire. We will aid you in your fight, but we ask that Earth's leadership remain independent. You will not be controlled by us. The galaxy must remain free, and Earth must lead the charge. Park absorbed their words, her eyes narrowing with suspicion and curiosity. The Coalition's offer was tempting, but it came with its own set of risks. Earth had fought for its freedom for so long, and now here were unknown forces offering their aid. But how much trust could they place in these strangers? We will consider your offer, Park said cautiously. But understand this. Earth's sovereignty is non-negotiable. We will never bow to another power. The figure nodded. We would expect nothing less. Earth's strength has already proven itself. You are the spark that will ignite the fire of rebellion across the galaxy. Together, we can defeat the Empire. With those final words, the transmission ended, and the screen went dark. The room was silent as Park turned away from the view screen. Her officers exchanged glances, uncertainty in their eyes. Earth's victory over the Empire had been hard-fought. But this new alliance, this mysterious coalition, could change everything. General, one of the officers spoke, breaking the silence. What now? Park looked out at the stars, her face hard with resolve. Now we rebuild, and we prepare. The Empire will return stronger, and we need to be ready. But with the Coalition's help, we may just have a chance to bring down the Empire once and for all. The victory at Hesperia was just the beginning. The real war was yet to come, and with Earth's new allies, the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted. The Empire had been dealt a severe blow, but they would not be defeated so easily. As the vanguard limped back to Earth's homeworld, Park knew that humanity's fight for freedom had entered a new phase. A dangerous one. But Earth had always been underestimated. Now, the galaxy would have to reckon with humanity's true power. The final battle had not yet arrived. But when it did, the galaxy would know that Earth was ready.